there, my friends. Welcome to another episode of Earth Station Who, and we are back, and we are going back to the third Doctor era, and we are looking at the Mutants. This is going back to Series 9 of Doctor Who, and it's, of course, Jon Pertwee as the Doctor, and, of course, Joe Grant as the companion. It'll be very fun to talk about this one, and it's nice because they actually do leave Earth for a little bit in this one, so it's, on a mission for the Time Lords. And so this one will be a fun one to do. And for me, it's actually the first time I've seen this one. So it's actually pretty cool with that. We have a great crew. We have our home crew, as we like to say. We have, of course, Melanie Dean.
Hello, fellow Whovians. I can't wait to start chatting Who with you.
And, of course, Ms. Mary Ogle.
Hi, everybody. It is fantastic to be here.
And last but never least in my heart, Mr. Mike Gordon.
Howdy.
All righty, kids. No new Doctor Who news. So I think we're just going to jump into this episode real quick. And, I think this is going to be interesting because this is an interesting era of Doctor Who. And this one was 6 parts. And as many in this era, they did not need to do 6 parts for this one at all. Who has seen this one before? This was my first time, like I said earlier.
My first time as well.
Mine too.
Oh.
Are we all first timers?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow.
So it's new Who.
It's
New
Who. New Who.
New old Who.
Yeah. And, of course, we're going to spoil the hell out of it. And, we're spoiling an episode from 1972. So if you haven't had a chance to see it, it's on BritBox, folks. Go watch it. Please check it out.
It's on BritBox.
Exactly. Tubi. Exactly. There's plenty of places to see old Who, which is nice. So it's going to be a ton of fun. We did get a piece of email. We'll read it at the end of the episode. And I bet you guys can't guess who it's from. So,
I wonder.
Exactly. Let's get initial thoughts on this one. Let's start with Mary this time.
I enjoyed it. I mean, yes, it's too long. There's like 3 or 4 episodes of filler where it's the usual. They're running back and forth. Whenever there's a 6 episode, there's 2 main places, and they're running back and forth between them. And this holds true to form.
There's the caverns or the space station,
Yeah, and that's it.
Yep.
And they do a lot of running back and forth, and there's even a little transporter type thingy. There's a lot. Actually, this one was very reminiscent of Star Trek in a lot of ways.
Oh, yeah.
But, it was fun. The story is very standard. It's your typical, sort of base under siege, and they're exploiting the people on the planet, the whole colonialist thing. And we've seen it many, many times in Doctor Who, but they're having fun with it. Everybody's chewing the scenery. It is not the world's greatest acting from some of the side players.
No.
Nobody cares that much. And they're just kind of having fun with it. And even Joe gets to do a few things in this one, barely. But
she fell down quite a bit.
Yeah, she did. She does a lot of falling.
Falling.
Gracefully fainting. But yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it overall.
Okay, Mr. Mike.
Yeah, I enjoy this one. Pertwee's always fun to watch, and they give him a lot to do in this one, I think. And it's nice to see, I kind of just, always think of him as being stuck on Earth. And so this final run that he's on, where he does get to travel a lot, he really feels even more like less James Bondy and more Doctor Who-ish. So I appreciate that. Seems like it takes place in the future as well. So, and we don't get a lot of future stories with him. So I like that aspect of it a lot. Yes, sure. Could it have been shortened? Of course. But I will say, I don't think there wasn't really any time in this while I was watching it where I was like, man, this is really tiresome and boring. I thought it was engaging through all 6 parts. Moved pretty well for me. I sort of like the typical. It's a typical story. They don't try to reinvent the wheel here, but I think it was done effectively.
Sure.
You've got your, narcissistic bureaucrat like just screwing everybody over. Which, boy, that just story doesn't seem to ever get old, does it?
Unfortunately.
Especially, unfortunately, yeah. The side characters are interesting to a point. I think there's a little bit more here that was like they tried to do with the script than maybe was necessary. But I thought it was engaging, and I thought, you make fun of the effects and everything, sure, with classic Who, but I did think that it was overall pretty good looking, the costumes and the sets. So I thought that worked for me.
It was typical 70s Doctor Who. It definitely was. All right, Mel, what's your thoughts?
No, to piggyback on Mikey, it's the costumes I was very impressed with, and especially the ones of the people who were from Solos, like the more warrior stuff. They were very layered, and usually you don't have that with this era of Who because they're really on a budget. So you usually just have tunic and pants, and that's usually all they'll do. For here, they actually kind of layered up the armor. They had different cloth and then armor and then also all that kind of stuff, and they had different headwear for everybody. I also like that it was a little bit more of an ensemble kind of cast than I'm used to, for even though, again, 6 parts, shorten it up, please. But I really liked Cotton and what was his name? I want to say
Stubbs.
Stubbsy.
Stubbs.
He's like Stubbsy. Stubbs.
Yeah.
And
We need to have a moment of silence for Stubbs.
I really liked them.
Yeah. They were a fun double act.
Yeah, and I think they really did give a little bit more, part. They writing wise, script wise, they gave more to those characters and fleshed them out a little bit more. So
Sure.
Kai wasn't just one note. Even Varen, even though he talked about himself in the third person constantly, he moved the plot along and everything. But I really did like that for 6 parts, they didn't introduce every character in the first episode. They at least waited a little bit to give us Sondergaard, and then he had fair billing throughout, enough he had a lot of words script wise, so that I really liked. I mean, I yes, you could absolutely tighten up any of these episodes, especially again 6. I did it in 4 and then 2 today, and it wasn't bad. I think I maybe if I did 3 and 3 would have been easier. Because after the 4th episode, I was like, it's getting late. I'm getting tired, all that kind of fun stuff. But no, as the story goes, it was very enjoyable. And if this is your first third Doctor story, I think it's a really good one to start with. Because he's not, again, as they've said, he's not on Earth. You don't realize that he's stuck on Earth all the time, and he's in the future, and it is more Doctor Who-y, and he gets to be the Doctor more. So
he gets to be more of the Doctor that you had previous seasons with the second Doctor and the first Doctor. And it was interesting because there was definitely times where he was saying, well, I am not human. And so, about the radiation and the atmosphere. He didn't need the filters. And it was interesting because this was still very early in the Pertwee run. This is Joe Grant's first season. This is, the Doctor did not have control of the TARDIS. He does not get that until the 3 Doctors, which is the next season. And so it was interesting that he was basically an errand boy for the Time Lords in this, delivering the package. And I liked it. I liked the characters. You knew who the bad guy was right from the beginning. And there was a lot of stuff from this Doctor's era where I fully expected the administrator or the investigator, sorry, when he came to I was fully expecting it to be the Master. I fully was expecting it to be the Master and throw a complete wrench in the whole story. And I thought, oh wait, the spaceship's coming. And at the end of the 5th episode, the investigator comes in, and it's the Master, and everyone, and it's just like, oh, this just got great. But no, we didn't get that. And
because that's a common thing in the Pertwee era, where where you're watching a story and you have no idea, and then all of a sudden one of the characters just in the fifth episode or something goes, "Whoop! I'm the master," and you're like, "Whoa!"
Exactly.
I kind of expected that when they went to the. I had the same feeling, Mike, except for me, it was when he and Professor Songard go into the radiated area and they find that figure. And the doctor starts to go up to it. I'm like, it's going to be revealed the master.
Yeah, I could see that because it looked like whatever the statue or whatever it was looked very humanoid and everything.
Yeah.
It was holding the rock, and
Right.
and it was interesting. And I like how they revealed that it was the natural evolution of the planet, and it changes seasons every 500 years, and the beings on it mutate to take to evolve with the planet. And I thought that was great, and them becoming the mutants was their next form of evolution. And
So I will say they undercut their message here, because there's nothing wrong with them just evolving into these sort of insect type things, which, by the way, I thought those were pretty cool, actually.
yes,
Yeah,
well done.
But then it's like, oh no, that's not what's really supposed to happen. He's supposed to turn into this glowy angel thing, and I'm like, did we really have to go there? How about, why can't it just be okay that they're like insectoid?
intelligent
aliens?
exotes,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. Why can't they just be that rather than, bringing human bias into it and making them into glowy angel things?
Exactly.
I don't know, with their multicolored glowing angel things, I was kind of like, they were like, "Hello, I'm here."
They were very prismatic.
Hello, my baby.
Joyful.
Hello,
And then-
jazz hands and everything.
Like,
yeah.
I was like,
Goodbye.
"Oh, where are we going with this?" I was like, "This is." Yeah, that was really fun. But yeah, I mean, I know that I was looking at some of the behind the scenes stuff, and I believe the original idea came from Barry Letts. And by the way, Barry Letts, Terrence Dicks, like this era, I love that, we're just missing Robert Holmes here, but man, we're getting Christopher Barry as director. This is like a great team, a great Doctor Who team of folks. I think when these guys are usually involved, it's really interesting to me. And so the idea comes from Barry Letts, where he's like, he likes the idea of an alien species that has a cocoon stage and then goes to the butterfly stage. So that was going to be there from the beginning. The writers, Baker and Martin, kind of tried to do a anti-apartheid message here. Christopher Barry didn't like that, so he really diminished that aspect of it a lot, which I think, it's still there. You can really see it.
Very much so.
Yeah, I mean, it's very colonialist.
Absolutely.
Stripping the society for their riches or their resources, and then pretty much destroying them.
Yeah, he used them to stage the coup first, and then assassinate the other guy, and then he ends up turning on them. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, gee, we know who the bad guy is in this episode. That's why I was hoping for the master. Truthfully, that's really why. But it was interesting when I saw the actor who played with Soundergaard, and it was interesting. I was thinking, is that Riff Raff from the Rocky Horror Picture Show?
Nope, it's Lobot from Star
Lobot.
Wars.
It's Lobot from Star Wars.
I know it was, which was
Lobot.
awesome.
Yeah,
it was.
Two Star Wars alumni.
Where's his headpiece? Yeah, exactly.
Kai was Biggs.
Yeah. Although
Exactly.
you wouldn't know that, and that's a pretty deep cut unless you really know your Star Wars, because Biggs didn't really make it to many
Mustache
of the.
and also an American accent.
Yep.
But yeah, I thought so too.
Yeah. And
The whole thing is kind of weird because, like, when it starts, I'm thinking this is a Monty Python episode, right? Like it starts with this old guy running through the woods, and he goes right up to the camera. I was like, he's gonna go.
Yeah, that was my first thought too.
Yeah.
And I thought that was. That must have been intentional because Python was on at the time and really popular at the time. So it had to be like a lot of people were probably tuning into Doctor Who going, wait, did I just turn on Python? What's going on here?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. It was fun though, seeing, another Quarry episode. And it was just, it would have been a perfect episode, I think, if it was 2 episodes less, very easily. And the story could have easily fit into there. And the Doctor was great. You got to see him do his Venetian judo, and it was multiple times. He even did Vulcan neck pinches.
Yeah,
people.
that was one of the Star Trek elements.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and it was just like, and so it was awesome. And I'm glad the Doctor had his allies, and who was going to be the thorn in the side the whole time, and it was standard Doctor Who. Very much so. And was it fun? Yes. Was it watchable? Yes. Could it have been shorter? Yes. So it gets all the
But
yeses.
it was still enjoyable to watch. Like, yeah, could have
very
been
much
shorter,
so.
sure. But I mean, when you're having fun, why cut the party out? Like, what the heck? What's the difference when the party goes long? And I will say too, I want to point out too that even though Christopher Barry didn't really love the anti-apartheid message, he did actually cast, a sort of man of color in the role of Cotton, which I thought was interesting. Which you don't usually see that in this era of Doctor Who. So I thought that was pretty notable.
Do you think they deliberately named him Cotton?
No, my
Yeah.
understanding is that the character's name was Cotton, and there were white actors up for the role.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, it was rumored that Colin Baker was up for the role of Cotton.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I don't know how true that is, but that's like what I was reading in my research. So, but it was Christopher Barry who decided that it should be played by Rick James. And I want to say another word after that, but I won't.
Even all the guards seemed a lot more diverse as well.
Yeah, there were there were Asian ones. There were some African Americans. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was, I should say African Americans, but African.
Back then, Doctor Who wasn't woke,
Yeah.
so that's not right. What's going on here, right?
No,
Well, also, I mean, Cotton ends up becoming the commander of
It's true.
the base.
Yeah.
So as I'm watching my husband, they like, oh, he's going to become commander, blah, blah, blah. He goes, woke. Like, I went, yes. Yes. Like,
it's funny. I saw it. And I was good. I was like, good on you, mate. Good on you.
Yeah.
Way to go.
Yeah.
So
the other thing about this too is that when I first started watching Third Doctor, because I don't think I had seen much Third Doctor until we started doing this podcast. So,
Right.
And I know we've jumped around. So we see some Joe Grant here and there. And as we talked about recently with our companion episode, I much more prefer Liz Shaw, right? She's great. And, as a character, and she is on equal footing as the Doctor, whereas Joe is just, to quote one of our former co-hosts, big bag of hair. Like, she's just so, and in the first episode of this, she is really like, the character is just really dumb. Like, she's like,
Right.
oh, we're flying, Doctor. And he's like, actually, we're in orbit. And she says like another thing. And then she follows Kai out, even though Kai's like, you cannot breathe in this atmosphere. And she's like, I'm going with you. And it's like, and then like, sure enough, like a couple miles in, she's like, I can't breathe. I can't. And I'm like, Joe, you just, she's so dumb in this. She's so dumb. But it really is to Katie Manning's credit that she's still so engaging and watchable. Here she is taking this material that she just could be like one of the worst companions ever. And yet I think Katie rises above the material and sort of makes it her own. And there's times when you really feel that she has empathy towards other people, other characters, that I think really sells her as a character more than, so you don't just look at her. I don't just look at her now as being really, really dumb. I mean, yes, she's got those elements to her, but I really feel like there's more to that character than just that. And I think that's because of Katie, not because of anything that the script writers are doing.
I think she
I agree, because I feel like a lot of people rag on the Joe Grant character, and she has never bothered me as much as some other characters like Perry, for example.
Right.
And
right.
and I think that's all down, you're right. It's all down to Katie Manning because the dialogue is terrible. Her storylines are usually terrible, what there are of them. But she just brings, I don't know, this exuberance to it. I don't know what the right word is, but she is very watchable.
Oh, very much so. And she had some good moments in these stories. And, yeah, she fell down a lot. She passed out quite a bit. But you also had her, distracting the guards so that they could try to escape. And, then she's also, leading the charge at points. And I thought that was pretty awesome. And, and I was like going, okay, so she's not completely worthless. I didn't want to throw her completely out of the airlock. And I did love that scene, though, when they were in that room and they were shooting at the one barbarian and it opened into space and he got sucked out and everyone else was. That was really well done. I like that. For Doctor Who in the 1970s, it was really well done. So I thought that was decent. Where do what do you guys think? Was there ever any kind of follow-up on the story on the creatures or anything in Big Finish or such? Or would you want to see something?
I mean, I don't know. Do we want to see Commander Cotton again? Check in with him every once in a while. Sure. I mean, that might be kind of interesting, and see where what were they called? The Solarians, right? No, I got that wrong. Solonians. Yeah.
Solonians.
What's become of them? Now, one thing that would be a nice follow-up. Okay, here's a nice follow-up. Why do the Time Lords care? Like, why are they sending them? Like, that's never really explained. Yeah. like this is important enough to the Time Lords that they send the Doctor on this mission. And at one point, the Doctor goes, "Oh, now I see why the Time Lords are interested." And then that's never followed up with. So I don't know. That would be nice to know exactly what the tie-in is with the Time Lords, because really, it's just an excuse to get them there, and it could have easily just been like, "Oh, the TARDIS isn't working, and now we ended up on a ship." Like that, there's not really a need for that, except for just a MacGuffin and a reason to get them there. So that was pretty weak,
exactly. And that little package thing that only opens for one person, to who it's supposed to be delivered to. And I love how the Doctor was walking around. Is it you? Is it you? Is it you? That's how I feel like my Amazon delivery guy is half the time. So,
or just that they're tablets that the Time Lords took and decided, "Oh, you guys should have this back now." What are you interfering with stuff? What's going?
Yeah, they were supposed to be non-interference. That's why they persecuted the Doctor in the first place and banished him to Earth.
Yeah, instead they're
another interfering.
Well, maybe they're setting him up. It's not beyond the Time Lords to not set him up. Like.
It would be interesting to revisit, though, the metamorphosis and how it's every 500 years, I think. So we only saw summer to winter or spring to summer. We never saw how the whole cycle works. And since it's every 500 years, clearly they all forget what happens.
Well, they die out, and then the next generation takes out, oh, that's ancient text, So, yeah, it was interesting. I thought, like you said, the costumes were great. The sets were, I thought, the sets for the space station, easily, I think they reused them in Ark in Space and a couple other, seasons later on, very much. And, it was just typical. And, it was cool. Was I sad to see the, basically everyone get their just desserts, especially the Marshal? Yeah, I was happy about that. So I thought it was cool. All right. Any final thoughts before we go ahead and rate this one?
Boy, this is a quick, for a six-parter, it's a very quick review.
Yeah.
Two thoughts here that I have. Also, in doing my research, I found it interesting that this storyline, this particular series of episodes, is referenced in Salman Rushdie's The Satanic Verses. which I thought was kind of interesting. I don't know if that by default makes Doctor Who a target and controversial, but in any case, I have not read Rushdie, so I can't speak as to what the context is. So, but I did find it interesting. The other thing I wanted to point out too is that if you do watch it on BritBox, do believe, like I did, that BritBox is using the remastered versions that appear now on the new Blu-ray sets.
Yes,
because it looked great. Even
it did.
Even Michelle came in the room at one point, and when I was watching it, she's like, "Wow!" And she was like, "What era is this?" Because the Doctor hadn't appeared yet. And then Pertwee, and she's like, "Wow, that I did not expect." Like, I thought, she goes, "This is really in good shape." And because at this point they're still using film instead of video for the most part, it's easily to restore and bring up and then make look really, really good. And I think this, I mean, from the credits to a lot of the outdoor stuff, I thought it looked really, really good. So, and I'm glad to see that BritBox is using those versions, the newer versions, because,
not just the original.
Yeah, because I'm sure if you were to watch the original, DVDs of this or whatever, it probably doesn't look as good, as sharp as this.
Nope, exactly. Any other thoughts? Okay. 1 out of 5 TARDISes, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. All right. Melanie, you got to go first tonight.
I mean, I really did enjoy this episode. So, I mean, I don't want to give it to me, a 3 is almost for me, it's almost like a disservice, because I'm like, no, I really, really like this and probably would watch it again. So I'm just going to give it a 4. I mean, yeah, I mean, it was the greatest episode in the world. No, but if I go down the line of between the costumes, the production design, and some of the sets, while, yeah, it's the quarry. Yeah, it's the interior of a lab or what have you. But I was pleasantly surprised to see the radiation room that ended up being the room that they also like kind of the refueling kind of thing. And that it had a little, how the 2 pieces came out to connect.
Yeah, Judy was like, I was a little phallic on there, wasn't it?
I was amazed at that, because usually anything to build something cylindrical is not easy. And not only is it cylindrical and it's moving, it's being pushed in through the wall. It then opens, it's big enough to carry weight of the 3 actors to get in and kind of crawl in. And then they have another piece on the other side where looking at it, it didn't seem like they made sure to do everything to scale. It wasn't like that they did one piece so that the actors could get in, and then they went to a model for it to be smaller. So the other piece,
it was actual size.
It was actual size.
It was pretty amazing.
I was actually quite impressed for this one little scene that happened in there. Yep. So
agree.
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised on this one. So yeah, I'll give it a 4.
Okay, Mr. Mike.
I'm going to give it a 4 as well. I thought it was a really solid story, and that it moves along. I mean, despite the fact, I mean, it might, scare some people away because it's 3 hours, more or less. But I was not bored throughout the entire. I mean, I watched it all in one setting, and I was not bored. I thought it was a smooth find, because some of these do really feel like, yeah, they could be really, really clipped and shortened, and I thought they made it interesting. The cliffhangers were, by and large, engaging, and I thought the cast was fine. I thought the bad guy chews up scenery and does what he's supposed to do, and he's a guy that you love to hate, that's for sure. And the other characters I felt were compelling as well. It was interesting, and I liked the idea behind it, and ultimately, I really like Pertwee and Manning together in a way that kind of surprises me, because, like I said, usually when I think of Pertwee and the Third Doctor, I'm like, oh, I hope it's a Liz Shaw when we're doing it. And then it's like, oh, no, it's not. And then, but, I've come around. I've come around to actually enjoy a lot of the Joe Grant ones. Maybe not as much, but I understand that, like, she does rise above the material, and I think makes it worth it. So I would, and I think, as Mel said, I would definitely, if people are interested in a third Doctor story, I wouldn't mind. I mean, I have no problem saying you should watch The Mutants.
Yep. Pertwee is amazing in this one. I agree completely. All right, Mary.
I'm gonna give it a 4 also. I mean, I enjoyed it. I was engaged throughout the whole thing, even though, yes, it's too long, but it never really drags. I mean, you're not just sitting there going, "Oh my God, please just be over." It's fun to watch
me
the whole
now.
thing. I mean, part of that is Pertwee. I mean, he's really having a great time here. He's very doctorish. He's a lot of fun to watch. And the side actors are having a good time too. I think actually Kai may be the weakest one, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, he's sort of there, but it's fine. He turns into a glowy angel. Good for you, Kai. But it's
Good on you, mate.
Yeah. But it's just fun.
We applaud his transformation and coming out.
We do. Good for you, Kai, for stepping right out of that closet. But it's just, it's an old trope, especially for Doctor Who. But who cares? Because it's done well. It's engaging. It's fun to watch. And it's actually kind of nice to see an episode that's just fun to watch.
Yes.
There's no sort of big twist or anything hanging over it. There's no sort of agenda really. It's just fun to watch. And so I enjoyed it.
New creators take note, right?
Yes. There was an agenda. It was, the apartheid thing, but it's a different society than we are than we were now. So,
well, there was an agenda in the sense that it was anti-colonialist, yes, but I mean,
exactly.
It's an old trope that Doctor Who has done many, many, many times before.
Many, many times from the first Doctor era on. So, you can't say no to that. All right, I'm going to give this one a 3.5. For me, I pulled it down because of how many episodes there were and everything. And that's the main reason. And then also no master. I would have loved to have loved the master. That would have knocked it up to like a 4.5. If Roger Delgado popped out through the portal, it was just like, oh my God, that makes awesome. But yeah, it was fun. It was an interesting story, and folks, watch it for Jon Pertwee alone. And truthfully, I think this episode was Joe Grant's first time leaving Earth in the TARDIS. So that was also a neat little thing. And the Doctor saying, "No, you're staying behind." And she's like, "No, I'm not." And she just chased after him through the door. The Doctor didn't put up much of a fight, of course. So,
he never does.
No, he never does. And I like that. And I thought, it was entertaining. There were parts where I felt like it was too long and that they could have cut scenes out. But overall, I thought it was decent, and I'm glad to have the chance to watch this with you guys, and that's what makes it fun. So definitely would love to hear from you guys at home. Please write us. Feedback at earthstationwho.com is always the best way to get in touch with us. Mentioned earlier, we have a piece of email, and I bet you guys can't guess who it's from. It's from our friend Peter, of course.
Yay!
Yay! I'm shocked.
Peter.
Hi, Peter. And he wrote, "Hi, Mike. Thanks for the heads up on this episode. Wow, it's been a while since I first watched this one. I thought the story was great and that the Marshal was played perfectly as a powered mad tyrant. His security force was less than impressive. True. Luckily for the Doctor and Joe, even though they had some really good guys mixed in. I thought the mutant costumes were vintage BBC Doctor Who. Yes. A mix of creative and hilarious. On the whole, I enjoyed this and thought the characters were believable and Joe was great in it. See, he's a Joe fan, folks. So there you go. Anxious to see what you guys thought of it. Peter. All right. Well, you heard before what we thought of this one, Peter. So we definitely, want to hear from you guys at home also. Peter is great to be able to do this, and we do appreciate him so very, very much. And so definitely, it's interesting. One thing I wanted to bring up with you, it really wasn't news or anything. Have you guys been watching Strange New Worlds this season at all? The Star Trek show? because there's been some very interesting Doctor Who
because of the
references.
Doctor Who references.
Yeah.
And everything. I've been Judy and I've been watching it, and we were like, she just didn't say she traveled with a time traveling doctor. It was just like that. I just thought that was just awesome and everything. I just like how both shows have actually played homage to each other, which is nice. And I think it's great. Do I think they're in the same universe? No, I don't think so. But leave that for the comic books, because IDW did an amazing Star Trek and Doctor Who crossover. So you can check that out. I definitely would recommend it. I'll actually have a link up to that in the show notes. But folks, thank you for joining us as always. It's always great to talk Doctor Who with my friends here. And if you have anything you guys want to see us talk about, because we're going to be in the wilderness years, I think, for quite some time. So we've got a lot of stuff lined up. But, tell us, is there a topic you guys want us to talk about? Is there some storylines that we haven't reviewed yet that we've missed? And, I think we've got a lot to look at still. So we're not going to be leaving you guys. We're still going to be coming to you every 2 weeks. You can find us up on social media. We're up on Instagram. We've got an amazing Facebook group. So definitely join in. We definitely would love to have everybody talk, Doctor Who. Keep the spirit of Who alive, as we like to say. And that's our plan for the next zillion years. So until we get new Doctor Who, at least. Definitely, if you get a chance, support us through Patreon, or if you get otherwise, check us out on YouTube. Give us a thumbs up, like and subscribe, as we like to say. That's how people find us. That's how the algorithms are good with us and everything. And we definitely would like to build our community up with that. Let's thank our crew for being here tonight. Mary Ogle, thank you as always.
Oh, thank you. I really enjoyed this episode. My first time watching it, so it was really good to have an excuse to watch it.
Awesome. Anything you want to promote?
You can find me at maryogle.com or on Etsy at eVision Arts.
Excellent. And of course, Melanie Dean. Appreciate you as always.
Same here. I love always chatting Doctor Who with everyone, and this episode was honestly was a lot of fun. Again, you would think 6 episodes. I don't know, guys. I don't want to do that. Do it 2 by 2, because honestly, the cliffhangers they work beautifully. So highly recommend this one.
I love the cliffhangers. That's one thing I miss about old Doctor Who is the cliffhangers. And where can people find your stuff?
You can find me on Instagram, mostly at Pieces of Melee or Diamond Tech Crafts, CRAFTS. Either one of those. Doing stained glass or doing art. Ta-da.
Excellent. Yay. Not that stained glass is art, God,
yeah, no, it's just glass wants to break. We just teach it where it wants to break.
Ha ha ha. Okay, Mr. Mike Gordon, thank you as always, my friend.
And as always, it's been my pleasure.
Anything you want to promote?
Just the usual. You can go to New Legend Mike and see my link tree and see all the things I'm involved with. And I guess most particularly, we are going to do our wrap-up episode of Dragon Con pretty soon for the Dragon Con report. So if you want to hear all about the fun stuff that Jen Chanting and I did and experience at Dragon Con, then tune in to the newest episode.
So you didn't get the con cred or anything, did you?
I did not get con cred. I'm happy to say I was very exhausted, as I think we discovered in the last time we recorded Earth Station Who, but I made it through, knock on wood, unscathed. So yes, I was pretty happy about that.
Fantastic. I'm glad you were okay and that you had a great time. Definitely. For me, promoting my stuff as always. We are talking about, of course, my other podcast that I produce. We're talking about Tales from Hollywoodland, where we talked about our favorite movie moments and some really cool stuff to talk about in that. And that's, of course, with the older guys, they had a lot of older movies, and I had to think, how can I bring them into the 21st century? So with the moment. So it was a lot of fun to talk about and to check out. Also, over on Julian Schlossberg's Movie Talk, this week is a really big episode for us. We actually get to talk to John Cleese from Monty Python. Oh. And we had an amazing conversation about how he formed Monty Python, how he worked with Peter Sellers, how he's worked with, all these different actors and such. And sadly enough, the interview went over an hour and we didn't even get to Faulty Towers or to Fish Called Wanda. So he's already agreed to come back for part 2. So definitely give it a listen. It is a great, fascinating conversation. And, I didn't even know he used to work with David Frost. It's pretty awesome stuff there, folks. So definitely check it out. Julian Schlossberg's Movie Talk. Okay, folks, we will be back again in 2 weeks, and we're going to go back to Big Finish in 2 weeks, and we are going to go to the second Doctor era and talking about Jamie. That's right. The Doctor goes back and finds James McCrimmon, and so it's going to be a lot of fun to listen to that one. Of course, thank you as always. We will see you here next time on Earth Station Who. On behalf of myself, Mary, Melanie, and of course Mike, we will see you. Peace, and we are done. Alan Z, my friends. Ciao.
You have been listening to Earth Station Who, a pop culture podcast dedicated to all things Doctor Who, featuring talents from throughout space and time. All topics on the show are the sole opinions of the individuals and are to be used for entertainment value alone. You can subscribe to our show wherever fine podcasts are found, or check out our website, earthstationwho.com. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook or Instagram, and if you enjoyed the show, please write to us at feedback@earthstationwho.com. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you on the next journey of Earth Station Who.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping at the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.